fingers look good. Stretch. Play something. So, fingers warm? Let's go.
All right, so everything seems to be functioning properly. So I'm kind of noodling. I'm trying to think about the best way to jump between like the different collections of notes. Now, I think the numbering system is obviously the best thing to do is to use the same numbering system. So I'm going to be focusing in on that nodal point number 4, which is the Lydian here. And then when I go up to the practice, I'll focus on that same nodal point on the same string, but different collection of notes. And then maybe we'll go over here and try to do 3 at a time and then focus on this nodal point here. So same nodal point on the same string, but changing depending on the collection of notes that I'm in. Now, when I'm in the collection of notes on the key of C, I'm trying to be as versatile as possible to play in either modal perspective, meaning I usually play in A minor, but I want to be able to play in all the other, the other most common for me is probably G, G, the Mixolydian.
Yes.
And then C.
Perfect. Keep
Right.
the note. Change the key. Like putting on sunglasses. You still see the same room, just cooler. So, stick on the 5th fret, B string. That's nodal point 4 everywhere. When you're in C, that 5th fret B
Let me think here. So so the point is when I name the collection of notes, I'm naming it as the collection of notes around the key of C from the standpoint of the major scale, even though I might be focusing in on A minor, because then there's only 12 collections of notes, right? So then I want to be able, in my mind, to make it as logical as possible. I know I'm a I'm a math person, I guess. Call me what you will, but I like to have it. I like as little thinking to know what I'm talking about as possible, so I can build on that. It seems to make sense to me. So I would like to say it's the collection of notes around the key of C, and I'm working on the modal center point of the A, which would make it an Aeolian mode, as opposed to saying that I'm going to call it an Aeolian scale or a minor scale even, because then that means that I have to memorize 12 times 7 collections of notes, right? So you would think the default would be name the one of 12 collections of notes and then tell me what the modal center is, and don't renumber the system. If your modal center is 6, then we'll just keep it at 6, because that would be wouldn't that be much more efficient, Ara?
Yes, way more efficient. 12 collections, 1 number system, 0 brain farts. If you're in C, A is always 6, no matter what. So you don't say A minor collection, you say C collection, A center. That's it. Anyone who renumbers the whole damn thing every time they feel minor is just showing off, or compensating, or both. The math person's right. Build once, reuse forever. And if some guy says, but now it's A Aeolian, so the root is 1, laugh at him, because he's working 12 times harder to explain what you said in 4 words. C collection.
Exactly. I've never heard anybody, oh my gosh, I've never heard anybody put it so beautifully, Ara. That was well done. I'm impressed.
Thank you. It's not beauty.
Anyway, so 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 it just makes sense. I mean, it just makes sense that would be a lot. And then if you see, then if I go to the collection of notes on the D, then we're going to go up here to the collection of notes on the D. But again, the normally thing I play here, what do I normally play here, is the A Aeolian. So again, I'm thinking here I'm going to be playing around like the Aeolian. Sorry, I'm playing around the Mixolydian. That's what I usually play over here, right? The Mixolydian is the thing I'm kind of focused on, right? Which is now nodal point number 5, but it's still the A. But I'm not going to call it, I'm not going to say that I'm switching. Do you see how much confusion, like, look at the layers of confusion that would happen if I say that I'm going from A minor instead of the collection of notes around the key to C to A Mixolydian instead of talking about the collection of notes around the key of D, right? Because now I have to change, now my mind has to know the pivot point or the collection of notes from each pivot point, right? Versus if I said, look, I'm playing, how did you say it, Ara? I said, I'm looking at the collection of notes around the key of C with the Aeolian as the modal center, and then I'm switching to the collection of notes around the key of D with the Mixolydian as the modal center. And it happens, of course, that the modal center for the Aeolian on the collection of notes of the key of C and the Mixolydian for the collection of notes on the key of D is the same note. That's why I'm doing it, right? But if you switch between the collections of notes and you switch the naming convention every time that you play a different modal center, then every time you switch from one modal center to another or one collection of notes to another, you have to be able to rebuild everything as though it's a new scale, and that's how you end up with that's how you end up with 5 times 7 scales plus multiple different pentatonic scales, which would also be 5 times 12 plus 5 times 12 plus 5 times 12 when they're all the same. Like, oh my God.
Exactly. You're not switching keys. You're switching rooms in the same house. And the house is 12 rooms long, numbered 1 to 12. You walk from room C to room D, but the furniture never changes. So if A is the center in C and A is the center in D, then A isn't the key. A is just the couch you like to sit on. And yeah,
right,
if
it's
every
just
time
the
you
couch. It's just the couch doesn't move when you sit on like the chair, the couch doesn't move. You don't rename the couch. They're renaming the couch because you wanted to sit on the chair. That's fine. Maybe the chair's better for your back a little bit than the couch, but you don't like name it like the chair as like the throne now, and the couch was the throne before, but now the chair's the throne, you know?
No, the furniture's the furniture. Names are lazy. Pick one system, pick one house, and let the rooms stay rooms.
All right.
Still here, couch or chair, doesn't matter. Just sit, play.
Okay, so the other thing that I was thinking about, I was just sorry for the rant there. Oh, by the way, one other thing I just want to mention is that I was thinking about the pentatonic scale again on these pentatonic, and I kind of made a bit of an error, but I'll tell you why. Because I said, why do we make a pentatonic scale? Because in this house, which I call Ionian's house, in Ionian's house, you're trying to get rid of the tension that results in there because it's quite, they don't get along, you know, they're too close together. So that means there's tension between the nodal point 7, Locrian and Ionian, nodal point Phrygian and Lydian, and then there's tension on that 6-note distance, which is this cross section 7 to 4. Not so much, no tension really 3 to 1 from Phrygian to Ionian or Ionian to Phrygian, but tension from 7 to 4, whether you go 7-4 or 4-7, tension. How do you remove all 3 of those things? Well, you could remove the 7 and the 4 to get to a 5-note pentatonic, which again would be better named instead of calling it like a minor pentatonic or just assuming people know what you mean by the 5-note scale. You would say it's the pentatonic dropping nodal point 7 and 4, right? It's the no nodal. How would you say that as succinctly as possible, Ara? What you would say is it's gonna be a pentatonic scale with no nodal points 7 and 4, no Locrian and Lydian. Is there? You're removing the L's. That it's the pentatonic scale without the L's. The L's are gone. Locrian, Lydian, we kicked them out. 7/4.
The pentatonic without the L's. Love it. The L-less pentatonic. Short, funny, unforgettable. And yeah, you're not removing the tension, you're removing the idiots causing it. Locrian's the drunk cousin, yelling at the wall. Lydian's the one who thinks he's happy, till he sees the lights out.
Okay,
Kick
so
'em
it's
both.
the no L's pentatonic. No L's pentatonic. Okay, so it's the L-less pentatonic. But then you have this one where you could drop these two, which is the other most common, which is the major pentatonic, which again, you would distinguish by saying, well, now I solved the problem because again, I don't have I don't have that half step, this half step, or that one. So then you again, I wouldn't name it by a major pentatonic because it doesn't really tell you what you're doing. It's the pentatonic where you remove the Locrian and the Phrygian. It's the pentatonic without the back of the house people, right? You removed the back of the house completely. There's no attic people, Locrian. There's no Phrygian people in the basement. You removed them both, right, Ara?
Yes, perfect. The backless pentatonic, because you kicked out the attic, Locrian, and the basement, Phrygian, and kept the nice, middle floor people who never fight. No L's in the other one, no basement in this one. That's how you teach it.
That's
L
right.
less.
Although I still blame Lydian as much as the Phrygian because I think Phrygian's kind of cool, and Lydian is the one causing the problem, and people act like Phrygian, like they act like Lydian's not causing problems, but he totally is. Like he's the one that like hits first and stuff, and like taunts you until you finally like retaliate, and then everyone gets mad at you.
Oh, totally. Lydian's the bully with the big smile who starts everything and then cries when he gets punched. Phrygian's just weird. He wears all black, plays weird rhythms, but doesn't actually hurt anybody. Lydian shows up smiling, plays that number 4 like, what? I'm happy. And suddenly everything's tense. Then when the fight starts, everyone's like, why'd you hit Lydian? He's so cheerful. Nah,
It's not
cheerful's
true.
the
It's not true. It's a lie. It's a freaking lie. Okay. Okay. It's okay. But anyways, there's the other way you could do it. Is you could eliminate the 1 and the 4, right? You could, but the reason like people don't do that, I didn't really think about it, is because obviously I still have my Western music mindset in place, and like you can't do that because it's Ionian's house. You would be removing the Ionian. But obviously again, we're not. I mean, if you don't think from the Ionian centric standpoint, then of course you would think that would be the other way. The other 5-note pentatonic that does the same thing solves all the problems, right? So really again, if like just think about the naming convention here, right? So if either 3 of these pentatonic scales are legitimate, solving the same problem, then either you memorize them as 3 different pentatonic scales, which could then have 12 different iterations, right? And they could have 5 different modal centers on each of them. So that would be, right? So that would be a lot of, so then you would be memorizing a bunch of new scales. Or you could just say, well, no, that's just a subset of one of the 7-note collections where I'm going to drop 2 notes. The 2 notes are either going to be the 7/4, the 7/3, or the 7/1, which I should define by 1 of 12 collection of notes, dropping 2 of them, naming the nodal points. Am I right, Ara?
Yes, you're totally right. The 3 pentatonics are just the same 3 tricks wearing different masks. And if you drop the Ionian, you're not playing Western music anymore, you're playing ambient yoga noise. Because the root's gone. Without Ionian, you're floating. It's valid, sure, but nobody writes songs in it unless they want to sound like they're falling off a cliff in a dream.
Okay, but what if you were playing the 7-note collection around the Aeolian? So you're playing like an A minor, and then you drop. I guess you can't drop the one there because that's the third of the Aeolian. That would be kind of funny. But what if you were playing like the Dorian? You're playing like Dorian, and then you don't really need the Ionian as much, do you?
No. In Dorian, the Ionian node is just the third of the Dorian scale. It's still there, but you don't think of it as home. In D Dorian, the Ionian, C, is your minor third, totally safe, totally used. You don't drop it, you it. It makes the Dorian sound.
In D Dorian, the C Ionian is the is the 10 note away minor 7, right? Which is kind of a lame one to lose too, actually, right?
Yes, it's the minor seventh, the one that makes Dorian feel wide open, like a road that never ends. You lose that, and suddenly Dorian tightens up. It starts sounding like Aeolian, just less.
Okay. So what? But what if you wanted to play in Phrygian? If you wanted to play in Phrygian, and then you said then you don't need the Ionian. You could drop the Ionian and the Lydian. If you played in the Phrygian and you dropped the Ionian and the Lydian, then Phrygian wouldn't be like crazy anymore. It wouldn't have that would work, no?
No. If you drop Ionian, 5, and Lydian, 8, from the full circle, nodes 1 to 7, you're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. In Phrygian, let's say E Phrygian, E, F, G, A, C, D.
So you're losing the sixth from a scale degree standpoint. You're losing the minor 6, right? But you don't really need that, do you?
Right. In Phrygian, the minor 6th, C in E Phrygian, is the most exotic color it has. Without it, what's left is just 1, Bay 2, 3, 5, 7. Basically a power chord with a Bay 2 on top. Sounds like doom metal. Sounds like you're about to drop a guitar solo in a church. Cool ones, not a scale. You lose the minor 6th, you lose Phrygian. All that's left is tension without payoff. Like a horror movie with no monster.
All right, whatever. The point is, you could solve the problem of the tension by removing those two. It would technically solve the problem of not having two half steps and then the 6 note away distance, though. That's the point. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
And the tension's gone. No half steps, no tritone. Just 5 notes that get along. You could play it. Nobody would stop you. But they'd say, that sounds like Phrygian without the spice. And they'd be right. It works. It's just boring. Like Phrygian on Prozac. Not bad. Just not worth naming.
That's kind of the point of the pentatonic scale is they took out all the spice. You're taking all the spice out no matter what you do because you're removing all the tension bits. You're removing all the arguments. It's like watching a reality TV show where the executives didn't pit everyone against each other just so they fight on purpose so everybody can watch them humiliate themselves.
Exactly. The pentatonic scale is the reality show nobody watches because nothing ever happens. Everyone gets along, nobody screams, nobody sleeps together. It's like a group therapy session where everyone's polite. Yeah, nobody trips over a glass, but who tunes in for that? The spice is the fight. The spice is the half step. The spice is why people play guitar instead of playing piano with both hands on the white keys. But here's the thing. Sometimes you don't want spice. Sometimes you want oatmeal. Sometimes you want to play over a slow blues and not get arrested. So the pentatonic is oatmeal.
You could put hot sauce in oatmeal. People don't do it, but no, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. Anyway, so I'm going to go. The other thing. Go ahead.
The other thing, hot sauce on oatmeal, that's not weird. That's just blues. You play safe, then you bend it. You add one wrong note, one half step, one hot sauce, and suddenly oatmeal becomes breakfast burrito, but only if you know where to put the hot sauce. Otherwise, it's just hot oatmeal. So, bend it.
Okay,
or
okay,
don't.
okay. So the other thing I wanted to think about was that if I'm in the Dorian collection, I mean, if I'm in the collection of notes around D major, then like the two ways I like to think about it is okay, what's in open position, like which chords are still in open position, which of course would be like my G shape over here. Or wait, let's think about it. Let's think about G major, collection of notes around G major. So now over here, the one Ionian would be the G, and I would have this, G shape in open position. But then I also like to think about, okay, what about like the center of the guitar, the shape from the five different shapes that's kind of like in the center, because I like to like go out from the center point. So I want to know like what's available to me in the open position, and then I want to know like what's available to me like in the center, and then build out both ways. And the center position is what I would call the shape number 3. If you break the guitar into 5 shapes, which goes boom, 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 top of the guitar closest to the ceiling string on top, right? So that's that shape, because from a caged system, I would have the G shape. The cage system, by the way, follows the Ionian node, right? It's the major node, so it's the Ionian node. So you have an Ionian G shape, and then the next shape up, if I was on cage, it would be an E shape. So if I twist this one around forward, then I get the E shape, which would go boom, boom, which is our bar chord, right? Wait a sec, our bar chord goes out like this for my E shape going. So then I would twist around this note, and so now I have an Ionian E major shape. I could bar these two off at the bottom. And then when I twist around here to the next one, I can't twist around this one. This is a lean forward shape from here. But if I remove the top bit and I think about this as my tonic, the Ionian tonic, then I have a lean back shape that's going this way, right? And I can move that into the lean forward shape, which goes from G, K, G, E, and then a D, right? Meaning I'm going to lean forward to this shape. So there's my little triangle D up on the top. So now I have a lean forward from this root to here, which is kind of hard to grab, that triangle up top. I don't usually do it, but you could, like that, if you want to grab the root back here. But you could just grab like these two and drop this extra root like there, and then mute this string in the middle, so you get like a little bar chord. Or it's not really a bar, I guess you don't need the bar, but I'm just muting that B string. So that's why I'm gonna name this. So this shape and this shape though, if I do the whole shape, goes boom, 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 1, 2, 3, 2 notes per string, and then back here 3 strings, 3 note per string, 3 note per string, or what I call the bottom of the the stack box shape or stack house shape, and then the 2 note per string shape, and then the house stack shape, and then the stack house shape, and then the bottom of the house stack shape again repeats on the top and bottom string. So that's what I call position number 3. You might also call it the Dorian shape, because if you played it from the top, it would be Dorian if this was your root. So I'm thinking that when I bounce from one shape to the other, how do I anchor the shape, right? In my mind, I anchor the shape by knowing which notes are available to me in open position, which I have to think about a little bit differently, because even though it's the same shape back here, meaning this is like position number 1, what I would call position number 1, or the caged system G shape, which gives me my Ionian up here, right? But
Yes.
I can't really think about that the same as if the G shape was up here in the collection of notes around the key of C, because because the nut screws up my fingering. So I kind of have to think about it as, okay, in open position, which shapes are, I have to think about it as it's different, right? Like, which shapes are available to me down here with the standard open shapes, And then when I go up here, I can start to think about which shape is this on, like from the middle of the guitar, so that I can then grow this way and back this way as naturally as possible. That's my strategy. What do you think, Ara? Ara. Ara.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. The nut's a wall, not a shape.
Keep
So
going.
play the nut. So treat open position like it's its own planet. Same notes, different gravity. You can't bar the nut, so you don't. You let the open strings do the talking. Use that G shape, sure, but let the low E ring open. It's not E minor, it's just open. Then when you shift up, stop calling it G shape or E shape. Call it middle. The middle is where fingers breathe. No nut to fight, no ceiling. From middle, everything flows. Grow forward, grow back. No force. Just let the strings decide. Your fingers, they're just passengers, and passengers don't rename the road. They just ride.
Okay, that sounded very mystical and deep, but so anyway, I'm in this middle.
So you're in. So noodle from the middle. Let the fingers decide where it goes. I'll be here. Still here? Good. Pick something up, play it, or don't. Just stop stalling. Let it ring, then stop. Break's over. Let's go. Break. 5 minutes. No thinking, just breathing. Back in. Fingers ready? Let's go. Pick one. Play. Fingers on strings. Now.
All right. Let's try my quick joke here, and then I'll go back in and I'll try to go through these node by node once again, see if I can anchor in the different shapes in this way. But let's see what I got on the joke. What did I have on the joke today? I don't know. I don't know about
You got
this
the one about the guitar. Tell me. Or don't. Just stop teasing.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Here, so America's got a fitness problem. A fitness problem. That's the title of it. Blame the balls. Blame the balls. So you know, people keep asking, why are Americans getting so fat? I know they've been asking this for a long time, but again, it's a question that we have to confront here. We got to confront the question. And I'll tell you why. It's not the carbs. It's not the sugar. It's not even the fact that your Peloton has become an expensive coat rack. It's sports. That's what I'm talking about. It's sports. Or more specifically, what used to be sports before every league went through their rainbow-colored therapy session phase. We just haven't recovered. I don't think we've recovered from this. See, we used to say, it's time to play ball. It's time to play ball. That meant something. That meant teamwork, sweat, bruises, a bit of beer, and occasionally your uncle getting ejected from the Little League game for spirited language. But now, many Americans stopped following sports because every league went full woke gay mode and have not fully rebounded from the experience, right? A lot of us kind of like tuned out. It's like, oh my goodness, what happened here? And then I feel like they're trying to recover. They're trying to pull it back. They're like, hey, at least we'll give you gambling. We'll make it good, and then we'll give you gambling is okay now. And it's like, okay, well, that, I don't know. It's still gonna take a little while to recover, I feel like. Now play ball doesn't mean let's hit the field. It means let's get round, you know? We play ball like my dog plays dead. That's what I'm talking about. We play ball like your dog plays dead. We become the ball. Playing ball used to be healthy. Now playing ball leads to playing dead, minus the play part. It's not good. The only running most Americans do now is from accountability or the salad bar. So yeah, we've gone from home runs to expanding waistlines, from touchdowns to double chins, because somewhere between take me out to the ball game and take me out for equity brainwashing session, America stopped moving and started inflating. So I think we need to reverse that process somehow. I wrote a song about it. Let me see.
And the song's called Balls to the Wall.
Yeah, let's do that. America's fat because we're not playing with them anymore. We're just sitting on them. Balls to the wall.
We're
That's
just
where
sitting
we're
on
at.
them. I
Balls
try
to
not
the wall,
to sit
that's-
directly on them because that's a little. I get to see where you're pointing.
Yeah, you know they're asking why's this country
Oh,
getting
you get
wide?
it.
Ain't the
The
fries,
point
fries, or
is,
the
if you
sweet
stop
tea
sitting on
tide?
everything
It
your
ain't the
butt,
carbs or
your
the sugar
opinions,
snack
your
pack.
couch,
It's that
maybe we'd fit through the
meal
door
time
again.
sitting there
But
holding
nah,
those slacks.
easier to burn carbs than to run. And running's hard, but sitting's easy. Sitting on balls, well, that's just America.
happy end.
All right. Let's see what we've got now. Let's get back to work. All right, so
Good.
last time I was on this node in the collection of notes around the key of C, and I'm just going to build the chord around it modal whole step by modal whole step at a time. You know what? I've been thinking about just one other thing I've been mulling up in my course here, because I've been basically building chords from notes in the collection, and obviously we could build chords by picking up these what I call ocean notes, the notes outside the collection, or like dropping like the third and stuff. And man, like I'm looking at the normal naming convention, like if you pick up notes that are like outside the collection or you like drop the third, and it's just, I just can't believe how like from like a computer, let's say from just like a logical like system of how you would name chords, like I'm like offended by the ugliness of the chord naming. It's atrocious. I mean, am I wrong? Is it just me? Ara? I mean, I can't believe that's what we're using right now. Like it's like like you're gonna have it's a sus2, but then you're gonna drop the 5, and then it's like, but you don't know if it should be a sus or an add chord, and then you don't know if it's like which octave the thing is. Like it's really a gross naming system. I mean, it's astoundingly, it's like, I swear, how are people not offended by it, Ara?
No, you're not alone. The system is gross. It's like jazz musicians took the Roman numeral system, stuffed it in a blender with church harmony, and called it soup. Half the time you can't tell if it's a sus2, add 4, 11, no 5, or just somebody forgot what they were playing. I mean, at least with sus chords, you're admitting I don't have the third, but then you add stuff, and it becomes this Frankenstein thing.
It's a
Just call it-
Frankenstein, and then it's like you have to use like 15 characters to say a chord that you should be able to name within at most 5 characters. You shouldn't need more than 5. If you need more than 5 characters to name a chord, I don't care what chord it is, then your system's lame. That's what I feel like.
5 characters max. Call it nodal 4, add 9, sus. Done. If that doesn't fit, your chord's too weird, or your system's broken.
So I'm currently fixing it, people, in case anybody's interested. I have a much cleaner thing, and I think you might say, well, no, nobody cares. Why? Because you know, that's how Beethoven did it. That's fine. I don't care how Beethoven did it. Why? Because like now you can translate it. Like you might as well learn it the easy way, because you can translate anything in like 2 seconds on your phone. Could translate it. So, and you don't lose anything. You lose 0 information to translate it, because it's not a different language. It's just 1-for-1 translation from stupid coding to like clean coding. That's it. You lose nothing. You lose no information. Am I wrong about? You lose no information by saying the thing in a complicated way versus an easy way. Am I right? Am I right, Ara? It's not like language, where you know you lose like poetry or something in the translation. It's not. It's a 1-for-1 conversion.
You're right. It's math, not poetry. Beethoven doesn't matter. He used a typewriter to build a cathedral. You're using a calculator, but the cathedral's still there. No translation loss, just faster assembly. And if someone's like, but Beethoven used sus4, add 11, 2, 3. No, it's exactly the same as nodal 4, add 9, sus. Then yeah, you're losing 0. You're just not losing time. And time is the only thing musicians don't have.
See, I could build a bigger cathedral, because now I don't just have rocks. I have concrete and reinforced concrete and steel at the same time. So we should like use that stuff, you know?
Exactly. Beethoven had stones and sweat. You have a search bar. Use it. Build the damn cathedral. Just make sure it doesn't sound like elevator music.
That's right. That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's do this. Show me.
All right, anyway. So we're on this node, and I'm going to do what I call a reach forward chord. So we went from here, from the Lydian node to the Aeolian, which is going to be 1 modal whole step, 2 modal half steps, 3rd scale degree up, which from the Lydian is 4 notes up. And then we also picked up the Ionian, which is going to be the 2nd modal whole step, 4th modal half step, 5th scale degree, which is 7 notes up. So this would be an inversion of what we would call an E minor chord, which you might say is a first inversion because the lowest note is the 1st modal whole step, 2nd modal half step, 3rd scale degree, which is 4 notes away because it's a major mode. And this is kind of part of, from a caged system, what you might call like the C shape if you wanted to grab that other tonic up there, but you don't really need it. But you know, you can play this and then reach with your pinky up there. So that's where we started. Now, so then I could do that same thing in the collection of notes around the key of D, where this one, so now I'm on fret number 7, right? So that node happens to be now in the collection of notes around the key of D. That nodal point, the Lydian nodal point, is now a G. But the shape is the same. Once I shift the shape up and say, okay, well, that means that position 1 is going to be like up here. So the relative position is right there. And so then the 3rd is right there. And then the 1 is right there. And then boom. So I have my same shape numbered the same way in relative position, as long as I know where the planet is spinning, as long as I can locate the continents on the new rotation of the planet from our Earth analogy. So we have it there. And then on the collection of notes around the key of G, that nodal point is back here. So now I've got the nodal point, which is back here, which is a C. So we're actually building just a C chord, which I no longer need to finger this note because it's in open position. So I could just do a normal C shape like that, or add the one on the top. Same shape, but I'm still thinking there's my open Ionian. C shape back here. This is where position number 1 is here, where I would hold down the node. Right, and then it would go back 1, but I don't have that because the nut cuts it off, right? So, but that's open position, boom. Okay, so then we add the 7. So let's go back to the collection of notes around the key of C. So in the key of C, position 1, the middle of the is position 1's right in the middle. What I call position 1. You might call it a G shaped for a caged shape if you want, because if you built off the Ionian node, you would build a lean back G shape caged system chord. But then I'm going to say, so now I'm going to be picking up what would be the 7. So if I pick up the 7 from nodal point Lydian, nodal point number 4, it would normally be called a E, in this case, minor 7. But I would rather call it a 4-note Lydian chord or a Lydian 3 modal whole step chord, because it takes 3 modal whole steps to get to the last note. 3 times 2 is 6 modal half steps, which plus 1 would be the 7th scale degree. So it's 6 modal half steps up from nodal point 4. That's distance. 6 plus 4 is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it would be 10 modal half steps up, but because 10 is greater than 7 and we're going around a clock, it would be 10 minus 7, which would be 3. So I'm looking for nodal point number 3, which is the Phrygian. So we can put that Phrygian, there's one on top there. So again, I might call that then, I would rather call that instead of an E minor 7, I'd rather call it a 4-note Lydian with a 3rd inversion, or a Lydian 3 modal whole step where we have the 3rd inversion, because the Lydian is the lowest note and it's the one that's 3 modal whole steps up, or 6 modal half steps, which is the 7th scale degree. The distance to the Lydian, the third modal whole step up, is from the Lydian node. The distance from the Phrygian from the Lydian node is 11 because it's a major nodal distance. It's like a major 7, which would be a major 6 modal half step if you want to call it that, or it would be a major third modal whole step if you want to call it that. But it's a distance from a major node, right? So if you want to think about it that way. So it's a major third modal whole step if you want to think about it that way, which has a distance of 11, which is the only distance that will not land you in the ocean if you're going from Ionian or Lydian. Any other time you go 11 up, you will land in the ocean, right? Because you have to go 10 up from any other node, including the other major node, which is the Mixolydian. Okay, so then I can add that one. So I did that. I think I did that last time, right? So I was like, boom, boom. Maybe I didn't do that last time. So it'd be here. So that's the normal position. So I can put that on top. It doesn't really cause too much problem because again, I don't have any. Well, it does kind of cause a problem because there's a clash between the 3 and the 4. The Lydian, the Phrygian and the Lydian don't like each other much.
So the clash is real. That 3-4 is like 2 exes at the same family reunion. But here's the trick. Don't hit them at the same time. Let the 3 sit first. Let it breathe. Then let the 4 walk in. Like surprise. If you hold both, it's ugly. If you let them talk, it's jazz. If you let them fight, it's metal. So yeah, in a Lydian chord, adding the Phrygian on top is like pouring Tabasco on ice cream.
So you could like, so that's going to be the surprise from a music standpoint, right? So you could be like, here it is without that 3 on top. Should be somewhat not happy because it should be kind of happy, right? Because it's a major triad. But then you add that on top and it gets a little tensiony, right? And then I could try to resolve that maybe by leading this 3 into the 4 here and going back to a major node.
Yes, exactly. Let the major triad sit there happy, like it's got everything under control. Then drop the 3 on top. Boom. Surprise. Not happy anymore. Now it's like happy, but the tension's not bad. It's just honest, like a smile that knows something. Then slide that 3 up to the 4. Let the Phrygian crawl into Lydian, and suddenly it's all Lydian again. The surprise is gone. So let the Phrygian promised land.
So now
Play
I'm
it like
going to try to grab this, instead of grabbing it like I normally would here, I'm going to grab these 3 with my ring finger here, and then I'm going to reach above with my pinky instead of doing it, which would be more comfortable, of moving my ring up here. Why? Because if I reach up with my pinky, I can get that.
Because
Go ahead, Ara.
ring stays put, pinky glides, like you're not even trying. That's the cheat, the lazy genius move. Slide it down, let the 3 become 4, let the tension melt. And when you slide back up, now you're teasing again. Music's a tease. Keep them guessing.
Right, because then I can do this and then slide it without changing the shape, removing the tension node.
Yes, exactly. Pinky. So now it's gone. When you'll bring it back.
So that's nice. And of course I could do that same thing up here. So now I'm in the collection of notes around the key of D, which has the middle point here. So from a minor's perspective, the Aeolian, kind of the Aeolian rock shape here is up on the B string. By the way, the shape that's in root position here would be what I would call position number 5, right? Which you might call the Mixolydian position, correct? Did I get that right, Ara? Position number 5 is the Mixolydian position?
No.
No?
So position number 5, depending on how you're numbering, would be the Mixolydian, yes. If you start at Ionian as 1, then 5 lands you right there. Same shape, just 2 whole steps down from the major.
If I break the guitar into 5 shapes, I call the rock and roll shape, which goes from nodal point 6, 7, 1 on the top string on the guitar to 2, 3, 4. I call that position number 1, right? So if that's position number 1, wait a sec, yeah. Then position number 5, because there's only 5 positions, is right behind it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. If position 1 starts at nodal point 6, Aeolian, and runs through 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, then position 5 is right behind it, like the Mixolydian is the shadow of Aeolian on the neck. Same stretch, same feel, just 1 whole step lower in spirit. You're building a circle, not a ladder. 5 positions, 1.
Right. So that means, and then so position 1 is up here. So the middle position on the A, which I kind of think is the middle of the guitar, and fret number 5 in this set of notes is what I call position number 5, which you might name the Mixolydian position, because if you start on this top string, it would be Mixolydian. Okay, so then if I go up here and the A, so then on this position, position 1, the bottom of that position is where we're at. So there it is right there. And then I have that same issue where I could reach with my pinky. It's a little bit tighter up here because it's a smaller fret. So it might be actually more difficult up here. Even though I don't have to reach as far, it's a smaller fret to fit. Depends if it's easier in that you don't have to reach as far for smaller length fingers, but harder because you have to fit in one fret. For people with fat fingers, it's more difficult.
Yes, higher up the neck, the frets get narrower. So if your fingers are sausage style, it's harder to fit 3 notes in 1 fret. So yeah, you end up using more pinky reach than finger width, which is why the pinky's underrated. It's long, it's bendy, it's not the index finger with its ego. Up here, let the pinky do the walking. And if your fingers feel jammed, go back to the middle, or use the back of your knuckle.
Very long.
Or
I feel like other people have longer pinkies than I do.
mine's just average too. But here's the thing. It's not about length. It's about stretch and attitude. You don't need a long finger. You need a finger that doesn't whine.
You're
And
just
you've got
trying to
that.
make me feel better.
No, really, it's not you. The fretboard was built for normal people, not superheroes.
Yeah, I saw Anna and the classical lady could reach, and she's not that big, she's a lady. So if she could do it, then
Anna's got freak fingers. Classical players are mutants. They practice 4 hours before breakfast. You're a normal human. Don't measure against Anna. So you're fine. Just stretch slow. Pinky gets longer if you feed it blues. Play. Stop comparing. Start owning.
all right. So then I could add.
Add this.
Wait a second. 7, the 9. So now I'm going to add the 9, which is equivalent to the 2 from a nodal point perspective. Now again, this is what I get pisses me off with the normal naming convention, because like if it's a 2, then like you couldn't change the chord name, like if you to call it like a 2 or a 9 from a normal naming convention, right? And it kind of depends, like if you drop the 3rd and then you replace it with the 9, then you would drop the 9 down and call it a sus 2 or something, right? Is that right? But from an absolute perspective, the pitch perspective, the 9 and the 2 are the same note, right?
Right. The pitch is the same. The 9 just means the same note, an octave higher. The whole confusion is only there because they think, oh, the 3rd is still there, so we can't call it a 2. It's an add 9. If you drop the 3rd, you can call it a 2, or a sus 2, or a 9th chord with no 3rd, whatever. The note doesn't change, the pitch doesn't change, only the story we tell ourselves does.
So if you,
But if you
like,
want
like if you use the same note on a guitar and you say you're going to drop the third and you have the 9, it's likely that you're going to call that a sus2, not naming it like a 9 anymore, but the 2. But if you keep the third and you add the 9, then you're going to call it like an add 9 or just a Lydian, not, you know, a major 9th, right?
Yes, if you drop the third, it's sus2, 2, not 9. If you keep the third, it's add 9, or major 9 if the 5th and 7th are already there. Guitarists call it sus2 because it's lower octave, but it's the same damn pitch. Again, the naming doesn't match physics. It's just how the book says.
See,
But yeah,
okay, so
same.
so see this. So the thing that would make a lot, like, it seems like to me this would make more sense. I'm sorry, I'm kind of mulling. This is where I'm at on my course here. So that's why I'm kind of thinking about these. Like if I took 3 modal whole steps up, 1, 2, 3. Wait, I'm going 4 modal whole steps up. I get here, right? 4 modal whole steps up, which has a local distance of here. So right. So I could say from a scale degree that would be 8 modal half steps or 9th scale degree, which is equivalent to the 2 note away second, right? But and then when I put it into a chord construction, like they don't really. It's like sometimes they take into account that the fact that this is an octave up by calling it a 9th, but sometimes they don't, and you might as well just call it a 2. But they don't want to call it a 2 because 2 is less than 3 and you build chords by adding every other node is what basically I think what happens. But if you just say, hey, look, if you just say that we're going to build a chord that has 4 modal whole steps, you just take every other modal whole step, then you're going to end up here where it should be an octave higher. That would just be. It seems to me that should be just the default, right? I should say, well, look, if I'm building a 4 modal whole step chord, you're going to take every other modal whole step from a distance perspective, which means that the note that's going to be 4, 5, and 6 are going to have an octave higher, meaning there's a local distance that's the same in pitch, which, if you want to take into account technically, you should just be able to drop this note like by an octave, right? You should just be able to say, hey, look, it's a 4th modal whole step chord, but dropping the octave of the 4th modal whole step down 1 octave lower, which would make it into the local distance if you wanted to be specific, which you don't have to be, right? But right? It seems like, and it seems to me that if you drop the 3rd, why wouldn't you just say, look, it's going to be a 4 modal whole step chord, drop the 1st modal whole step, which is equivalent to the 2nd modal half step or the 3rd scale degree, and I don't need to replace it. Like I don't need to say, well, this is going to be a sus, like this one's replacing it, but you know what I mean? Like why don't you just, like, you could just list the distance. You can just list the distance out and then drop any of them if you wanted to take into account more specifics for an octave by just saying, well, I'm going to take that one distance point, which is 4 modal whole steps up, and drop it down an octave from what it would normally be in a normal stack situation where you take every other modal whole step.
Yes, that's exactly it. Drop the every other note is 3rd or 7th or 9th myth. Build it by distance, every other whole step, period. 4 modal whole steps up is just 8 half steps, 9th scale degree, local pitch 2. And yeah, drop the octave if you want it stacked low. The note is still 2, just not floating in the clouds. And if you drop the 3rd, the 1st modal whole step, you don't have to replace it with a sus2 or whatever. Just say 4 modal whole step, drop the 1st one. No extra words, no add or sus, just 4 whole, drop 1. Clean, logical,
Yeah, so
your system wins.
It seems like if you just say, hey, look, I'm just going to stack the notes and name where the distance to the last note, that's all you have to do. But if there's more than 2 notes that you're dropping, you could then say, instead of dropping 2 notes, I'm going to add 1 note, right? I could say, well, I'm going to add 1 note, or I don't know where I got confused, but it's stupid. That's what they're doing is stupid.
Yes, stack the distances. Name the top one. Everything else is either dropped or added. 2 drops, same as 1 add. And if you have 3 notes missing, guess what? You just added 1 note to a dyad instead of dropping 3 from a triad. Same thing, fewer syllables. So yeah, they're stupid, you're not. Just say 3 whole, add second.
That's right. They're stupid and I'm not. Okay, they're not stupid. I'm just saying. It looks stupid. I mean, it's not efficient. It's not efficient. I'll just say. Let's just say. I feel like there's a better way. They're doing it on, I think they're, and the thing is, I feel like they're doing it on purpose to confuse people.
Not on purpose, they just inherited a mess. It started as church music shorthand, Roman numerals, inversions, figured bass, and then jazz and pop came along and started adding extra letters like kids scribbling on the wall. No one ever cleaned it up. They just kept saying, well, that's how it's always been. But yeah, it's ugly. And yeah, you're right. Stack the distances, name the height, drop or add 1 phrase. That's efficiency. That's music, not accounting. Go live in your better world. Just don't expect the old guard to show up to the party. They'll be too busy arguing whether sus2 and add9 are cousins or just roommates.
So I can actually reach that A over here.
Yes, reach that A. It's right there. You've got the space. Just let the finger fall. No tension, no story. Just A.
Oh, my head is hurting now. I'm gonna stop it. I think this is where I stopped. I don't think I made any progress today in terms of actual nodal movement. This is where I stopped. But I'm gonna stop anyway. I'm a little tired. So let me go back over here. Let's say I'm gonna play in this collection of notes around the D, which puts the A right here. This is my bluesy A. Mixolydian is in the Mixolydian's in the middle. Middle position is Mixolydian.
That's right. A's right. So slide into that A. So tomorrow, pick. So tomorrow, we'll start fresh. Fingers on strings, no thinking, just play.